What's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen. Get some.
Vegas, there's a lot of Mexicans in Vegas. Mexicans are everywhere. They're taking over the earth. I tell everybody, learn Spanish now. The revolution is here. I had a show in Alaska a couple weeks ago. There was Mexicans at my show in Alaska. I was like, you guys in Alaska? They say, hey, shut the fuck up, we're Eskimos. Burr, I say burr, Eskimos forever. Live out in California. They're trying to kick all the Mexicans out. I'm like, no, man, let them stay. Let the Mexicans stay, man. I just built my first house. Mexicans built my house. 22 Mexicans built my house in 3 days. One fucking hammer. I never seen that in my life. Do a hammer, throw it, catch it, flick it back.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/GaryOwenCom or on iTunes. Just search Gary Owen, #GetSome or United We Cast, and enjoy the best podcast in the universe. And it just happens to be mine. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on it. I'm saying that because I really feel like it. So football season is coming to an end. Here's how I get through the offseason after football's over. Thank God The Walking Dead comes on, and that's on Sunday nights. So I'm looking forward to that. And then my guilty pleasure is Big Brother. And I don't know if you guys watch that show on CBS, but I love that show, Big Brother. And it gets me through the summer waiting on football. And it comes on like 3 times a week. And this year it's Celebrity Big Brother. I even had my sisters text me last week, you should get on Celebrity Big Brother. I said, no, I don't want to do that. If I was going to do any kind of reality show other than the Gary Owen show, which I had, I would do Dancing with the Stars if they asked me to do that. I do think I got a lot of rhythm. Now, the other thing that happened over the last week was they had the NAACP Image Awards. Girls Trip crushed it. Tiffany Haddish got Best Supporting Actress. Will Packer gave a great acceptance speech.
Young Kof, where you at? Kofi, Mike Coulter, y'all here? Check this out. 8 years ago, I met this amazing woman at this festival down in New Orleans. And at this festival, black women were empowered to be whoever they wanted to be, celebrate the way they wanted to celebrate without worrying about men or society or conforming for anybody else. I left that festival and 2 things happened. Number 1, I married that woman. Her name is Heather Packer. I love you. She changed my life. Number 2, I called Malcolm Lee. I said, I got that movie that we've been talking about making for so long. We stand up here before you as brothers for our sisters. This is for you, Regina Hall, Jada Pinkett Smith, Queen Latifah, Tiffany MF and Haddish, and all the other melanin-infused sisters, especially the ones from Haiti and Africa. We love you as your brothers. We need you. You support us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
But it was, Will just he's a good speaker. And he did it so fast with so much confidence. He just went up there and was like, yo, I went to Essence Fest years ago and 2 things happened. 1, I met my wife, who I'm still married to this day. Shout out to Heather and gave his wife a shout out. He goes, and 2, I saw women of color empowered and they were out there. And that, the Essence Fest in New Orleans is like, I heard that's like the chocolate factory. I've never been, but I heard it is just, if you love black women, you want to go to that for sure. And he said, I just saw, so many women empowered and independent and positive. And then he said, so I came to Malcolm Lee and I said, I got this movie idea. Let's do a movie about Girls Trip going to Essence. And he goes, and then he said, I just want women of color to know our melanin infused women and our women in Africa and Haiti that we love you. And we're here for you. And the crowd went crazy. But it was just a quick 1-minute speech, but it was powerful. And it was good, especially coming off Donald Trump saying Haiti and Africa is a shithole country. I'm like, dude, this guy. And it's, it's crazy. So he's like unraveling in front of us. And I think Donald Trump just has so much money. And he's probably got a ton of yes men around him that nobody checks him on what's correct and incorrect. But what's interesting was on Facebook today, I saw somewhere on a video of 1999 Jesse Jackson giving Donald Trump all these props about how how much he's helped the Black community and employed Black people and was supporting Jesse Jackson during his 84 and 88 presidential campaigns. And I was just like, whoa, where's that guy at? So it's almost like, it's almost like, what do I think now? What? I don't know. I'm mind boggled because, there's so much negative rhetoric around him, as there should be. But then you hear things about in the past of some of the good things he did. But and even Jesse Jackson said in his speech about Donald Trump, he was like, something about his tact or the way he talks turns people off, basically, is what he was saying. He goes, but if you can get through all that, you can realize that he is here to help people. And I'm just like, okay, what do you think now? Because Jesse Jackson would never say that about him now. And it's just like Donald Trump, he only talks about, when you say Haiti and Africa, automatically you think Black. So automatically people are going to be like, oh, he's talking about Black people from shithole countries. Because let me tell you something. You can go to some of these places like Poland and some things like that. I remember that there's a fighter, Andrew Galata, and they said he was from a Polish ghetto. And I was watching HBO or something, and that ghetto that they showed in Poland was 10 times worse than any ghetto I've seen in the United States. I even say like some of these third world countries, and not African American third world countries, any third world country. Like Poland, for instance, has some terrible ghettos, and I'm sure like place in Nicaragua and some of these South America places. A lot of their ghettos ain't got running water. They don't have anything sanitary. Watch Slumdog Millionaire. That's a ghetto. That's the slums. So even the so-called ghetto and projects in the United States have running water. And you can kind of do almost everything as long as you got water and heat. If you're in the cold, you can make do. But like I said, Slumdog Millionaire and some of these places in India and stuff like that, that makes our ghettos look like Beverly Hills. But when Donald Trump keeps saying everything he says is places populated by Black people. And so automatically you're thinking he's talking about Black people. And indirectly he is. It reminds me of when I do stand-up and I say my wife or my kids. Now, I establish in the beginning of my act, I have a Black wife and Black kids. But then the rest of my act, if I talk about my wife or my kids, I'm just saying my wife or kids. Where I hear some people like, all you do is talk about black and white. And I go, no. Here's what's going on. When I say my wife, all of a sudden a Black woman pops up in your brain because I'm married to a Black lady. So in your brain, you're saying, oh, Gary's doing Black-white jokes. No, I'm just doing jokes, but I am talking about my wife who is Black. I'm talking about my kids who are mixed, but I'm not saying my mixed kids or my Black kids or my Black wife. I'm just saying my wife. But in your brain, you have a visualization of a Black woman. Oh, he's saying Black-white. That's not what I'm doing. You're just thinking that. So, and that's what indirectly Donald Trump is doing. He's talking about these countries and that are populated with a lot of Black people. Is it on purpose? I think little of it is. And he's saying, why don't we have more people come over here from Norway? Can you pick a whiter country, dude? Like, really? Norway isn't just white. You're thinking blonde hair, blue eyes. Now, I do know that, and I don't know if it's Norway or Switzerland or Sweden. I'm not sure which one. One of those countries over there, they got to figure it out because there's no crime. Life expectancy is longer than anywhere else. Even the way they conserve energy. Like most people bike to work. If they don't drive, they don't have to. And most of the country aren't living outside their means. So I don't know which one it is. Is it Norway, Sweden, or Switzerland? I don't know. But one of them has it all figured out. Like whoever is the government running things and the way the population is and the way they grow up. They just grow up in it. And that's all you know. And I just, and it doesn't, what else doesn't help with Donald Trump? It's the Black people he associates himself with. These dirty Black preachers that are always on TV, and you could tell from a mile away they're dirty. They had one Black preacher on one at CNN or something. And he started quoting scriptures instead of addressing Donald Trump saying the shithole country. And it's just so funny to me how people can throw out, because they've memorized scriptures in the Bible, they can throw them out and use them for their purposes when it benefits them. It's almost like when I go to funerals. If I go to a funeral, let me tell you something. I just want to hear stories about that person. And I went to a funeral. A buddy of mine, Devin, passed away about 1.5 years ago. And I went to his funeral, and it was great. I know it sounds odd saying a great funeral, but it really was. Like, people were telling great stories about him, and I felt like I knew him. And I felt like I knew the stories, and they were really describing Devin accurately. And all of a sudden, it was going great, and then a preacher went up there. And this dude was up there so long. Here's what I got out of it. He saw a packed church. He saw 2,000 people at my buddy's funeral. He thought, oh, this is money. I can get people to start coming to my congregation. And he took it as a chance to not honor Devin. And it was like an hour and a half later, he was still talking. Literally, the guy had to get in his ear and be like, look, man, we only got the cemetery till 5 o'clock. And people were just leaving. I was like, he was trying to get people saved and everything. I said, dude, this is about Devin. And it happened. That was a bad one. And there was another guy who was my wife's friend named John Atterbury. And I don't know if you can remember, like 5 years ago, a guy was in Hollywood just with a gun, just shooting people randomly walking down the street. Well, John was in a car. It was Saturday morning. He went to the bank to make sure he could withdraw money to pay his employees because he knew Christmas break was coming. And he wanted to make sure he got his employees paid before the banks closed and before the Christmas holidays. That's the only reason he was out that Saturday morning. And the guy ended up shooting John, and John died a couple days later in the hospital. So me and my wife flew out to LA for the funeral. And the same thing happened, man. And I didn't know John at all. And there was like 5, 6 people went up and spoke about him. And even though I didn't know him, I felt like I knew what he was about by his friends' stories. And then his uncle went up, who was a preacher. And the same thing happened. He just went a little too long. Just like, oh, man, his funeral was going great until then. I already told my wife. My wife has always said she's going to live longer than me. But I said, look, in my funeral, just promise me I'm okay if a preacher talks. Make sure most of the stories are about me. I started to shift when the preachers get up there. All of a sudden, your right butt cheek story, like, and I just said, don't let that happen at my funeral. Please do not let that happen. Oh, I got sidetracked. I was talking about the NAACP Image Awards because then we got talking about Donald Trump and Haiti and stuff. And but I'm so happy Tiffany Haddish won. I've known Tiffany for 15 years. And here's an interesting story about Tiffany. Is when Girls Trip came out, I saw it twice. So I paid money to see it twice. One, I just went and saw it. And the second time I enjoyed it, so I went again. And plus I was trying to double support the movie. Will Packer, the producer, he's the one that put me in Ride Along and Think Like a Man and Think Like a Man too. So if he does a movie, I paid tickets just to go see it. So you just support. But Will's got an assistant named Shayla. And I love Shayla to death. Well, she called me, and I was coming in to meet with Will. I had a meeting with him, and I was coming in to meet with him about something. And she said, "Did you see Girls Trip?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "What'd you think?" I said, "Oh, I loved it. I saw it twice." She goes, "That's awesome, Gary." She goes, "What'd you think about it?" Blah, blah, blah. And we're just talking about it. I said, "I'm gonna be honest with you." And it's funny when people say, "What did you think about it?" They really don't want to know the truth. Not the truth, but they really don't want your opinion. I think most would just want you to say how good it is. And this is the only critique I gave about Girls Trip that I said if I was to do it, I would have done this differently. I just said, I think Tiffany said bitch a little too much. Like if she said it 100, I would have cut it down to like 95. And Shayla goes, "What? What'd you say?" I said, no, let me explain. She goes, "Gary, I've asked 10 people. Nobody's ever brought that up." And I was like, didn't you just ask me what my opinion was? And the only thing I was getting at was not that it was bad or a bad critique, or my thing was there was a couple scenes where, and this is the comedian in me, where you want that person to get the big laugh, the huge laugh where the theater's just rocking. There was a couple times where the scene before Tiffany said bitch. And then the next scene, she said bitch again, but this bitch was funnier than the bitch in the scene before that. So in my brain, I was like, oh, if she wouldn't have said bitch in that scene just before this, that bitch would have crushed. I was trying to explain it to shit, but she didn't want to hear that. Oh, I think she's still a little upset at my critique. But it wasn't a critique like bad. She just didn't let me get it out. And that's what we do. Most comedians, we observe. You don't see us busting out laughing all the time when we go to comedy shows or at movies because we're dissecting everything. It's almost a character flaw. It's like we watch a movie and we just kind of like, oh, they could have did this, or maybe they could have did this. And so when I'm watching Girls Trip, I'm just sitting there going, okay, Tiffany clearly was the comedic relief in that movie. And I was just like, oh, man. It was just a few times like, God, if she wouldn't have said bitch there, that bitch would have just destroyed that scene. Now, it still got laughs, but I was just like, oh. Because I've done some stuff and I knew it wasn't I did a pilot for Comedy Central like 15 years ago. And I knew when I shot it, when I saw it, I go, oh, this shit's terrible. And of course, it didn't get picked up. And the show I did with Shaq called Upload, I think we could eventually work that out and got it right. But the first season was just all right. It wasn't, I watched it and I was like, oh, this is it. This is a game changer. No, it was just all right. Even Meet the Blacks, the movie I did with Epps, there was a couple scenes in that movie where I was like, that kind of fell flat, or the editing wasn't as good as I had hoped. I was like, they should have did it. But that's the comedian in me wanting to get a laugh, and just, you're almost like a perfectionist when you see things. So, I mean, it's all minor stuff, but I don't know. I hope Shayla's not mad at me. And if she does listen to the podcast, Shayla, I hope that explained what I meant by the critique of Girls Trip. Because I love Shayla, I love Will, I love Will Packer Productions, I love everybody over there. But it was just like, she was really, and then when I came into the meeting, I thought she was going to still be mad. I always feel like I got to explain myself now, and I haven't got a chance to have lunch with her or sit down. So I can't wait till I get to LA again, and hopefully I'll get to sit down with her. But even when I do sit down with Shayla again, she's going to cut me off before I get the whole story out. Can I explain this? Because a lot of people are like, let it go, because Shayla might think it's not a big deal. But I'm like, no, she's going to remember that critique. It's always good when I see comedians doing that type of stuff. Like, I'm so happy just Tiffany's getting her due, and she's really turned into Black Melissa McCarthy is what she's turned into. Like, she's just getting movie after movie offers, and she's going on a TV show with Tracy Morgan and Cedric, The Last OG, and she's got a Super Bowl commercial just got announced. Groupon. I did something with her. Oh God, 4 years ago. I just had a funny little sketch idea, and she came to my hotel, and I gave her $100, and we did this thing called Twerking for Jesus. And it's on my YouTube page if you go to it. And I remember we did it in like 2 hours. She came over to my hotel room, and I had the camera guy there, and we shot it. And then I forgot to pay her. And then Tiffany, before she walked in, she goes, "Hey, Gary, you got that $100?" I said, "Oh, yeah, sorry." And I even remember, God, years ago, she opened up for me in Ontario, I think it was, somewhere, Ontario, California or something. And I had a good time with her that week. And then she called and was like, do you ever need anybody to open up for you? I said, Tiff, you got open door. Whenever you want to open up for me, just let me know. And then she's like, all right. And then her manager called me at that time. And this is probably 8-9 years ago. And he was like, yeah, I like that combo, you and Tiff. And I was like, yeah. I said, dude, you got my schedule. I said, if you call the comedy clubs, and I'm not going to say no if she ever wants to open up, they say Tiffany. I said, yeah, of course. And then come to find out, coming from Tiff, she was like, yeah, my husband, it's her ex-husband now. She goes, he's a little jealous. Like, he doesn't want me going on the road or something with dudes. And I was like, Tiff, he realizes you're in a male-dominated profession, right? Like, you're going to be working with guys every week. I go, he shouldn't be with a female comedian if he's going to be jealous like that. Just comics aren't like that. Once you're a stand-up, I look at you as a stand-up. I don't look at you like a female. It's almost like the girls in Think Like a Man, like Gabrielle Union and Taraji Henson and Regina Hall and Megan Good and Lala. I don't look at those girls as sex symbols at all. I mean, it's like they basically have dicks to me. You don't look at them like these sexy, beautiful women anymore. They're obviously beautiful and great, but you just don't look at them in that way. You're just like, oh, it's Gab, I'm working with Gab. Or it's the same way with stand-ups, I haven't read her book yet. I got to get it, The Last Black Unicorn. But, when she called me, I was like, yeah, he's a little jealous. And I said, Tiff, he's going to have a hard time being married to you. Thank God they're not together anymore, because that's a long life. Like, I couldn't even imagine. You met it. There's only so many female comics. I don't know. It's like being a mechanic. If you're a female mechanic, you're going to be working with a lot of dudes. So, yeah, but I'm just happy for her success and everything that's come with it. And I hope one day I'll get to explain to Shayla, Will Packer's assistant, what I meant by my critique of Girls Trip. It wasn't a bad critique. I love the movie. Hell, I paid to see it twice. I just said, as a comedian, we dissect stuff so much and analyze it. We don't laugh like that. And we'll watch a movie, and especially the second time. My first time, I just enjoyed Girls Trip. The second time, when I knew what was coming, that's when I started dissecting the movie. And I was like, this movie is like damn near flawless. And it was just a couple times I was like, oh, God, if she wouldn't have just said bitch in the scene before that, that shit would have popped like crazy. It's almost like when I watch my openers, and they'll tell a joke and it'll get a laugh, and then they'll come backstage. I go, hey, man, say this next time. This. Like this one guy opened up for me, and he cussed so much in the first 5 minutes. I said, hey, man, I told him about this joke. And I said, don't cuss that whole joke until you hit the punchline. When you hit the punchline, then say that's fucked up, or bitch, that's fucked up, or something like that was the punchline. And he did it, and the joke popped that much harder. It was already funny. But by him cussing out all the curse words until the punchline, it shocked the crowd, because the crowd almost was like, oh, this guy a clean comic. And then he just goes, that's fucked up, or something. I remember something where it was fuck was the punchline. And it was like, I was like, that's what I do. I'm a very good stand-up too. Like if I see something, I can make it funny. And I know it sounds like you see it, but if I say I can make it funny. So when I see a movie, I'm like, oh, that would have been funny right there. Or if they wouldn't have said that. And then that's my only critique. She was so upset with me. And my wife's like, just let it go. I go, I can't. I got to explain it to her. She goes, don't, because she might not say nothing. And you might have just took it like she thought it was a big deal. And I go, I think it was. Shayla's not one to bullshit you either. Like, if she don't like what you said, she'll say it. That was messed up, or that was stupid. Anyways, since football is coming to an end, I probably got to go kind of basketball heavy for a little while. The funnest player to watch right now, I think, in college or pros, is Trey Young from Oklahoma. I don't know how he's going to translate to the pros. I'm not a basketball expert like that, but I look for Oklahoma to play just to see him play, because he is shooting bombs and just going for 30 a game, and he's just fun to watch. So if you get a chance to watch Oklahoma and Trey Young, oh, he's so much fun to watch. Another thing though is the Cavs are not looking good at all. I'm watching that Golden State Cleveland game, and I just knew Golden State was going to beat them. Even when the Cavs went up and they played, it looked like Cavs were just exerting so much energy to keep up with the Warriors and to keep a lead. And the Warriors looked like they were just kind of coasting, like, look, we'll do this when we want to do it. It reminded me of the Mayweather-McGregor fight, where I think Mayweather could have knocked McGregor out in the first couple rounds. But he's like, no. I'm going to let this play out, because I might want to do this again. And I might want to get in the promoting business of promoting an MMA fighter against a boxer. And I want people to think that these MMA guys really have a shot. So I don't want to knock him out early, because then nobody will believe an MMA fighter can handle a boxer. I felt like I was watching that when I was watching Cleveland and Golden State. And it also goes to show LeBron's the best player in the NBA. It's not even close. I mean, see, I love it when people like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is great. Unbelievable. If you're going to give me like a 2-on-2, I'm taking LeBron every time. Every time in 2-on-2. That guy's just unbelievable what he's doing with that Cleveland team, because nobody's really hitting open shots. And Isaiah's a great player, but I don't think he's found his role yet. He ain't found where he kind of fits in. And it'll happen. I guarantee you before the season's over, Cleveland's going to go on like an 8-9 game winning streak. I guarantee it's going to happen. And then they're definitely going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I just don't know if they can get past Boston. I think they'll beat Boston, but I think it's going to be in 7. I think it's going to be a battle. It's almost harken back if LeBron would stay in Cleveland and they got to make a few moves. It's almost going back to like the Pistons and Celtics and Pistons and Bulls. Like, it would be nice to have a rivalry where there's a little tension too. And not everybody's getting along because it's clear Kyrie and LeBron are cool, but he left because he didn't want to be around LeBron for whatever reason. I don't know if it was personal, professional, I don't know. But it's clear. And it's got to irk at LeBron. I don't want to see LeBron go to the West. I want him to stay in the East. I want him to be in the East his whole career. I don't want him to go to the Lakers. So I hope Cleveland makes some moves or they get to the finals and make a run. But it's clear Golden State's the best team. Say what you want about Houston, the Clippers, Oklahoma City. It's not even close. It's not even close. Now, the funnest rivalry in the NBA right now is the Clippers and Rockets. Just because Chris Paul left and you got, I call them fake tough guys like Blake Griffin and Trevor Ariza. And even Chris, I think Chris Paul just talks a lot of smack. I don't think he tries to be tough. But the fact that I heard Chris Paul, James Harden, and I don't know if Trevor Ariza, they tried to go through a secret, entrance into the Clippers locker room to confront somebody on the Clippers. I heard it was Austin Rivers. And I don't know if you heard it, but on Rick Bucher show, I always mess up his name. I hate Rick Bucher's name. I wish it didn't have an H. I want to call him Bucher so bad. But Rick Bucher had a great interview with Matt Barnes, Matt Barnes is a tough guy, but he's more of like he's more of a pusher, not a puncher. He's that guy on the playground who's just going to keep pushing you. But nobody really knows if he can fight. But he'll talk a lot of smack. I'm like, do something. That's who Matt Barnes reminds me of. Like, I'm very open. I can't fight. And I don't know if I can fight. And I'll never find out. But see, Matt Barnes, you don't know. And I think that the intimidation factor that he had most of his career, because he would stand up to basketball players that were better than him. That little flinch he did to Kobe is legendary. So when Matt Barnes went on Rick Bucher's show this week, and he said a lot of people don't like Austin Rivers because he comes off as cocky and conceited, and he carries himself like he's a 10-time All-Star, and he's pretty much a role player. And that's who got underneath Chris Paul's skin and James Harden. It was that. And I think Ariza and Blake Griffin, I mean, I don't know. Ariza's in a perfect situation. Ariza's one of those guys that when he was at the Lakers, he went to Houston and got all that money, and then he realized, I'm not the number one scorer. I don't need to be a number one. And now he's fit into his role, and that's where he flourishes. He flourished with the Lakers when he was like the third option, and he's flourishing now with the Rockets when he realized, I don't need to be the number one option. That's not my role. But that's I just hope Houston and the Clippers play each other in the playoffs. I think that would just be fun. There would definitely be fights and arguments and ejections, but I don't think it really matters. I think Golden State's going to run through the West, and they're probably going to run through the finals. And the thing about it is, even if somebody gets hurt, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're so stacked. If Curry or Durant goes down, they're still fine. And if Golden State wins it this year, then they are officially a dynasty. That's 3 out of 4 championships. And what would make it interesting is if Cleveland can somehow get to the finals and somehow find a way to win 4 games against Golden State, and then it's 2-2. And then LeBron ain't going nowhere. There's no way he's leaving if they win a title this year. There's no way. And there's always like little discontent in Cleveland this time of year. Remember a couple years ago, LeBron took like a week off, went down to Miami and rehabbed and rested and recharged his battery. And I was fine with it. And remember last year when everybody was talking about these guys don't play in the regular season and stuff. We didn't care once it got to the playoffs, because when the playoffs come, I want to see the best players at their best. I don't want to see them lagging or they got a nagging injury. No, the goal is to get to the playoffs and win a title. I don't care if you won 40 games in a regular season or 60. Just get to the playoffs, and that's where we want to see the stars play, is in the playoffs. Another sad note in NBA basketball, Jojo White passed away. And a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people know this or not, but his son, Jojo White's son, is Brian White, who was in Stomp the Yard, was in Fighting with Channing Tatum. He's a good actor. I worked on a movie with him that nobody saw. It was called The Night Before. It was a little independent movie, but we had a good time on set. And he was a good guy. And I remember him telling me, he kept like talking about the Patriots and the Celtics. And I was like, what? Because you don't see too many black guys like repping the Celtics and Patriots too much. You see like Matt Damon and Red Sox. You see like Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, people like that. There's a huge comedy scene in Boston. It's a lot of white comics group, but You don't see too many black guys. So when he said, I go, really? Are you from there? He goes, my dad used to play for the Celtics. I go, who? He goes, Jojo White. I said, I don't know why I didn't put 2 and 2 together. But he was just a good dude, man. So I just want to send out my condolences to the entire family, man. That's got to suck. I mean, we're all going to die one day. But I mean, it's not a tragedy when some 71 years old like Jojo was passed away. That's a life well lived. You got to see your kids grow up and get to see your grandkids. That's a good life. Oh, I got to do a crazy stepdad story. I'm sorry. Before I do that, this weekend I'm in Kansas City, Missouri at the Improv, January 25th to 28th. I always tell people, if you want to know my schedule, just go to GaryOwen.com. That's got all my dates on it. And then I'm doing a private gig for Randy Moss in Minnesota, February 1st. It's a private, Randy used to play for the Vikings. Super Bowl's in Minnesota. I think the Vikings will be in the Super Bowl, but they're doing a thing for Randy Moss, some private event. I don't know, but I'm just like the host, aka roast master guy. But I heard there's going to be some big names in the audience. I'm not allowed to share who, but there's going to be some huge icons, current and former players, to talk about Randy. So I'm excited about that one right there. I'm in Toledo, February 2nd and 3rd, obviously not February 4th because it's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm coming to Atlanta, February 9th to the 11th at the Atlanta Comedy Theater. That is the weekend before Valentine's, so it's going to be coupled out everywhere. So that's my schedule. Crazy stepdad story. I just recently found out that my stepdad is now spreading rumors that he thinks I'm gay because when I was a teenager, he caught me dancing to Purple Rain in my bedroom. That's what makes me gay. I was dancing to Purple Rain in my bedroom, and that makes me gay. That literally means every kid from 85 to 91 that was a teenager is gay. Purple Rain's a slow song, so it's probably Let's Go Crazy. But it recently came to my attention that he is spreading the rumor. And then keep in mind, when my stepdad spreads a rumor, it's to 5 people because he only knows 5 people. But now it's I'm gay. Oh, you got to love him. He's so delusional, you got to love him. Anyways, all right, y'all. That was another great episode, if I do say so myself. So I'll see y'all next week with the Gary Owen Get Some podcast.